Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on this fine October 16th morning. If you can't tell, I'm extremely happy, extremely ecstatic. But no, for real, I am, because it's the end of tax season for 2020 for good, okay? It's just been a long freaking 10 months, especially with the pandemic extending the original deadline and with all the loan stuff going on. It's now over, and I feel like I want to go into hibernation mode and just kind of chill for the rest of the year, but we'll see what happens. So thanks for joining me. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't done so already, or if you're new here, definitely please subscribe to my channel and share this video with anyone you think might find it helpful. And afterwards, if you like the content, just hit or smash that like button. I'd really appreciate that. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about the PPP and EIDL. Haven't done a video on this in a while. And there's just been a few updates with the PPP that I wanted to share, even though I am probably I'm about a week late on this, but that's okay. Updates are updates, and it's always good to know, just in case you don't know, in case you haven't been, binging other YouTubers talking about this. So we'll just dive right into it. So there has been a new release of a ruling for the PPP forgiveness, and it's kind of made things more simple for loans under $50,000. Okay, so if you have a PPP loan under $50,000, you won't be restricted to any FTE reductions or wage reductions. So if you're not familiar with that, an FTE reduction is if you had to lay off or furlough employees, during the pandemic. If you did that and you were not able to hire them back, then you would have gotten penalized on your PPP forgiveness. And same thing with reducing wages. If you were struggling so much in your business and you had to reduce their wages, you would have been penalized if you didn't raise them back up by the end of your cover period. So now the SBA is saying if your loan is under $50,000 and you did all that, you won't be penalized anyway. They just want to streamline and simplify the forgiveness process for people with $50,000 or less loans. So why is this? Why do they want to do this? It's kind of like what Marco Rubio was saying a few months ago when he introduced the bill to simplify or at least give automatic forgiveness for all loans under $150,000. It's that the majority of the loans are under $50,000, okay? The majority number of loans, and at the same time, that majority of loans doesn't consist of that much money, okay? So just to give you some examples, there were 5.2 million loans approved for the PPP, okay? 5.2 million. So then we have 3.57 million loans under $50,000. So that's more than half, okay? That's way more than half of the loans approved. But those 3.57 million loans only make up $62 billion of PPP loans in total. That means the rest of the loans make up almost $450 billion, something like that. So you have a majority number of loans making up not that much total dollars, and you have a minority of loans that make up way more dollars. And I think that's why the SBA is exploring giving this less than $50,000 loans, making it more simple to apply for forgiveness. Okay, so now there's gonna be 3 forgiveness forms in total: the 3508, the 3508EZ, and the 3508S, which is the new one that they just created for this purpose. S, some people might think it stands for simple, or who knows, or small. Just maybe just get creative there. Who knows? I'm gonna go with SOAP. I think it stands for soap because it's clean and easy. I don't know. Anyway, that's the big update for the PPP forgiveness. Now remember, your bank might have not done anything with forgiveness yet because it's still pretty early, and because rules are changing all the time, they're still changing. So that's probably why banks are kind of holding off for a little bit before doing anything with PPP forgiveness applications. And so just hang tight. You're not in a hurry, okay? Just to give you an idea of how much time you have, let's say, the date of the loan, 24 weeks after that, and then 10 months after that. That's when your PPP forgiveness application is due. 10 months after your covered period ends. So you have quite a while, so just be patient. At the moment, it's still a loan until it's forgiven. Okay, another thing to keep in mind is that even though the SBA simplified the application process for forgiveness for loans under $50,000, they are still requiring supporting documentation. So this is not like an automatic forgiveness, okay? They still want to see that you paid payroll. They want proof of that. They want proof of your tax returns if you're a sole proprietor or you file your Schedule C. They still want to see documentation as proof in order for you to qualify for forgiveness. So it's not quite automatic yet, but it's getting closer and closer to that. All right, so next I want to talk about the EIDL and some of my concerns for that. Okay, because the EIDL program expires December 31st of this year, which, when this whole thing started, I thought, oh, that's plenty of time. Like, people should be able to apply and get approved by then, no problem. And man, was I wrong. That might be the case if you applied and then you got approved on the first run. That shouldn't be a problem. I bet you can apply now and get approved before December 31st. But what I'm talking about and what I'm concerned about is people who applied and then got wrongfully declined and now are going through reconsideration process that seems to be taking forever, and that the SBA seems to be botching left and right. And I'll tell you what I mean here. The EIDL loan is supposed to go through a pretty rigorous application process. You're supposed to submit your tax returns, financial statements, a bunch of SBA forms, a lot of things to prove your worthiness of the loan. And most people who apply probably would qualify for the loan. And one thing that they mentioned at the very beginning of this is that credit was not supposed to be a big factor at all. Their recommended credit was 620 or above, but it wouldn't be a big factor, especially with all those other supporting documentation. Okay, so what happened is that the SBA, they got flooded with so many applications that they only used credits. Basically, they used credit and then they used the revenue and cost of goods sold numbers that you self-reported, but didn't have to prove. Okay, so because of that, they only had 2 metrics to approve your loan on. So of course they're going to use credit. Okay, because they wanted to just get through as many applications as possible. So that's what they did. They used credit. And a lot of people got wrongfully declined, in my opinion, because they only used credit. And so since then, you apply for a reconsideration and then you submit all those documentations that the SBA would have required from you when you originally applied, okay? But the problem here is that they're taking forever. I got the SBA replying to me, asking me for documents that I already submitted. Like they're asking for more supporting documentation that has already been submitted. So it's like, it makes me wonder what the hell is even going on over there, And so far we've only got 1 reconsideration approved out of, I don't know, probably like over 2 dozen that we've submitted. That's my concern. It's the middle of October. The program will end in 2.5 months. And I'm really hoping that somebody in Congress or somebody at the SBA or in the Small Business Committee in the Senate really considers looking to extend the program, mainly because of all these reconsiderations and also mainly because the pandemic is still a threat and is still, beating down hard on a lot of businesses to this day. It hasn't stopped yet. We're seeing cases rise all over the country again. And so my hope here is to bring awareness to that. And hopefully to get you, if you're still in the reconsideration process, to maybe contact your senators and representatives to make sure to see if you can get them to pass a bill or to pass something to extend the deadline of the EIDL program for COVID. Okay, so that's my purpose here, is to bring your awareness to the timeline because it's going to expire soon, to hopefully do something about it. The way that talks have been going for another stimulus package, it's looking less and less likely every day that another stimulus package will be passed. So it's looking less and less likely that Congress will agree to anything, okay? What it really looks like to me is just politicians playing politicians and trying to get votes, honestly, okay? Because you have the Democrats holding strong on their stances because they know it will please their constituents, and you have the Republicans who are staying strong in their stances as fundamental Republicans because they know, when the vote comes, people who are Republicans will vote for the fundamental Republican candidates. okay? And then you got President Trump saying that he won't talk stimulus until he gets reelected, which is, to me, kind of like saying, vote for me and we'll get you a stimulus package. So we have politicians just playing politicians and holding everything up. And as the days go on and on and on, to me, there seems to be less and less of a chance that any stimulus will be passed. I think at this point, it's just all talk and all like a big politics show. That's primarily why I haven't been doing any updates on the stimulus package, because it is just show. There's no real updates. It's just people talking bullshit and arguing and trying to negotiate and getting nowhere. It's nonsense, okay? So there's not much of an update there, but really just wanted you to be aware of the PPP loan forgiveness, the new process, and also with the EIDL deadline coming up to maybe try to do something about it. All right, that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you're new to my channel and you haven't done so already, please subscribe to it. I would appreciate that. And also smash that like button if you haven't done so already, and share this video with your friends and family who you might think might find it helpful. Okay, that's all I got. Have a great weekend. Take care for now and stay safe.
I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a sticker. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flicker.